This week, we're finally running down the history of the greatest of the Autobot Titans. So get ready to make a special run to Autobot City for the basics on METROPLEX. METROPLEX was the first of the Transformers that today we call Titans, huge robots that transform into entire cities. The original METROPLEX toy was designed for the Japanese toy line Diaclone, but that series was cancelled before it could be released, so instead the figure was repurposed for the Transformers toy line and released as part of its third year in 1986. METROPLEX could transform into either a city scaled for small Autobot toys to interact with, or a rolling battle station. He was designed to have special interaction with the Combiner teams released the same year, which, like him, had also been created for Diaclone. The team leaders could convert into base modes that connected to and expanded his city form, while the smaller team members could combine with him in robot mode by plugging into his limbs. METROPLEX also came packaged with 3 small partner robots: the scout car Scamper, Slammer, a tank that converted into a tower for his city mode, and Six Gun, formed from the combination of METROPLEX's various weapons. A profile for METROPLEX was written by Marvel Comics writer Bob Budiansky, which characterized him as a modest bot despite his gigantic size and power. Though valued and respected by all the other Autobots, he had a bad habit of judging himself much too harshly. In particular, his function as a city meant that he could rarely transform to fight on the front lines, which made him feel like he wasn't contributing everything he could to the Autobot cause. The METROPLEX toy inspired the inclusion of an Autobot city in 1986's The Transformers the Movie. The film introduced the city as the Autobots' new base of operations on Earth, which came under siege from the Decepticons in the movie's opening act. However, the film was written and designed with little knowledge of the actual METROPLEX toy, and so Autobot City wound up bearing almost no resemblance to the figure, and was treated only as a non-living fortress. As such, it fell to the subsequent 3rd season of the Transformers animated series to properly introduce METROPLEX into the cartoon universe. The series reconciled his existence with the city seen in the film by explaining that he was just a smaller subsection of Autobot City, and that he hadn't transformed to robot mode during the Decepticon siege because his transforming cog was damaged. However, in the season's opening miniseries, a new cog was installed just in time to let METROPLEX finally assume robot mode and fight off an attack by the Decepticon titan Trypticon. METROPLEX went on to enjoy several spotlight adventures in the season that brought him into conflict with Trypticon again and again, including one in which he was framed for stealing national monuments from around the world, and another in which his transforming cog was stolen to temporarily trap him in city mode once again. In the Japanese market, METROPLEX's toy was sold as the centerpiece of the Scramble City subline, and accordingly, he received a major marketing push in the country, starring in several pieces of Japanese original media. Most notably, the story of how the Autobots built him on Earth was told in a direct-to-video animated special, which was actually released several months before his debut on American television. Additionally, the continued availability of his toy in 1987 ensured him recurring appearances in that year's Japanese original sequel series, The Headmasters. METROPLEX didn't appear in the Marvel comic book published in America, but he did feature in a story written exclusively for the British version of the series. Here he was depicted as the living core of Autobot City, who normally lay dormant within the fortress, until he was activated by Hot Rod to fend off an invasion by the alien Quintessons. METROPLEX's toy was discontinued in 1988, but in 1990 it was recolored and re-released exclusively in Japan as a new character, the Decepticon Metro Titan. After the end of the original series, though, the whole concept of giant-sized city robot toys fell out of fashion for a while, and so METROPLEX wouldn't appear in any new Transformers media for quite some time. Eventually, a new incarnation of the character was introduced in 2005's Transformers Cybertron, but instead of a city, this METROPLEX turned into a huge bucket wheel excavator, and came packaged with his Minicon partner, Drillbit. A tremendously powerful yet thoughtful and intelligent engineer who spoke with a Scottish accent, he was the leader of a Cybertronian colony on the planet Gigantian, a world of giant-sized construction worker Transformers who spent their days constantly building new cities across the face of their planet. As seen in the Cybertron cartoon, when the Autobots came to Gigantian in search of one of the 4 Cyber Planet keys, whose power they needed to close a black hole threatening Cybertron, METROPLEX quickly pledged himself to their cause, and even lent Optimus Prime his mighty axe, Spark Drinker, to use in battle. In 2009, Transformers Animated featured a huge building on Cybertron named the METROPLEX, which served as the headquarters of the Autobot High Council. Now, the show didn't give any indication that this METROPLEX was a sentient Transformer, but still, it was a big step in returning the character to his roots, and it helped set the stage for METROPLEX's true return to animated action in the 2012 video game Fall of Cybertron. This game depicted METROPLEX as a long-forgotten robot who had been lying dormant in his city mode on Cybertron for untold ages, whose body the Autobots had unknowingly used as their headquarters until Optimus Prime discovered his true nature and reactivated him to help the Autobots in their war. At the game's end, METROPLEX sacrificed himself to help the Autobots escape the dying planet, using the last of his energy to power their spaceship, the Ark. Hot on the game's heels, in 2013, a new METROPLEX toy was released in the Transformers Generations line. Able to convert into all 3 classic modes, packaged with Scamper, and featuring electronic voice clips from Fall of Cybertron, it was the first figure sold at the new giant-size Titan class price point, and at 2 feet in height, was the tallest Transformers toy that had been produced up to that point. The 1-2 punch of Fall of Cybertron and this new toy kicked off a run of appearances for METROPLEX in a range of media, including mobile games, Japanese manga, and most significantly, comic books from IDW Publishing. Now, METROPLEX had been introduced into IDW's universe a few years earlier in a 2009 self-titled Spotlight one-shot that saw him save the Throttlebots from the Decepticon 6-shot, and he'd made only sparing appearances in the intervening years. It wasn't until 2012, concurrent with his appearance in Fall of Cybertron, that the origins of IDW's METROPLEX were revealed. He was one of a race of ancient city-sized Transformers from the primordial past, who, much like in the game, had been awakened from dormancy by Optimus Prime during the war. Then, in 2013, METROPLEX starred in a story arc tying in with the release of his new toy, in which he battled an undead Titan unleashed by the Decepticon Shockwave. Victorious, but badly damaged, METROPLEX assumed his city mode to recuperate, in the process becoming the devastated Cybertron's new capital. And in this role, he remained a fixture of IDW's comics for the rest of their run. As a city, his functions were overseen by the Autobot Windblade, whose talents in the art of city-speaking allowed her to mentally communicate and emotionally connect with the gigantic METROPLEX's vast consciousness on a level that normal Autobots couldn't, and together, the pair worked to build a hopeful future for the new citizens now dwelling within him. The ideas featured in IDW's comics would go on to serve as inspiration for the Prime Wars trilogy of webtoons launched in 2016. This series saw an angry Windblade abandon her duties as Metroplex's city speaker to hunt out-of-control combiners rampaging across Cybertron and its colonies, until Metroplex re-established their telepathic connection and helped counsel her through her rage. Their bond reforged, Metroplex awoke to help quash the threat of the combiners, then laid down his life to protect Cybertron in one last battle with his old enemy, Trypticon. Things have been a little quiet for Metroplex in the years since then. In that time, his only notable media appearance has been in IDW's 2021 miniseries Shattered Glass, set in a mirror universe where the heroic Decepticons tried to prevent the evil Autobots from reactivating the dormant Metroplex and controlling his power. There have been no further toys of the Citybot either, though a new figure of Six Gun was released in 2019's Siege, followed by one of Slammer in 2021's Kingdom, both serving to complement Metroplex's Generations figure, while a huge Titan-class figure of Cybertron Metroplex was released in the Legacy toy line in 2022. But if history's taught us anything, it's that while Metroplex may spend a long time hidden away, slumbering out of sight, we can be sure that one day soon, this Titan will return. And those are the basics on Metroplex. Folks have been asking for this one for a long while, and I thought it was finally time. Share some of your Metroplex memories in the comments, and be sure to like, subscribe, and if you can, support the show on Patreon for more history and lore from the world of the Transformers.